Hey everyone, how you doing? Yeah, it's been a very long month, and lately I've just been looking at the YouTube trend, and I finally realized something. So I've been making YouTube videos for like at least 3 or 4 years now, and for the longest time I just turned on the camera like this and just spoke my mind because I always had so many ideas. And I was also, kind of lonely. I know that it's kind of hard to admit that, but after a while, I found that you can easily meet people on the internet. And for about 2.5 years, my YouTube count was like 400 or 500 subscribers. And I just kind of did it because I wanted to. Whenever I had like a bad day or something was going on in my life and I needed to talk about it without my parents knowing, I would post it to the internet. But then sometime like last year, I decided that I was going to start doing actual video editing because, I'd been doing it for about 2 or 3 years, and I was a little inspired by a couple of YouTubers who actually knew how to, work their chops. So I put a couple of images together, wrote a script about modernity, and basically bitched about it for at least like 10 or 15 minutes. And the thing got like 34,000 views. And so I thought, okay, people really like it when I make scripts. Why don't I just make animations too? I mean, I draw and I want to make this more like me. And, as time went on, I made this video about Gen X that got like some stupid amount of views, like 200,000, I think. So after it got a lot of views, I was really surprised by that. And I'm like, okay, maybe I actually have to script out videos. And this is before the whole Mr. Beast thing happened in July. So I was thinking about retention rates and making the video as like clean and pristine as I possibly could, not missing a beat. And I think I realized that I was trying to write a PhD in like 2 or 3 weeks every single time, where I'd watch certain YouTube videos, read a book, and try to come up with as much information as I possibly could just so that I can entertain the audience. And now I'm kind of realizing that I don't really want to do that. The entire reason I started my channel in the first place was to just tell my story and my entire life, because it's fun talking to people and expressing your authenticity, especially since the internet is just this place where, like, every year it feels like we take one step deeper into the digital age and we leave the real thing, the real life that we're all actually in behind. And recently, just something didn't really feel right, and I was unsure of how to really go about it. Every time I watched a YouTube video, I just felt like this emptiness in me because of the advertisements and the fact that everything was just a polished version of what it really is. Everyone's putting on this like presentery kind of face, and I didn't really want that anymore, and I don't really want to do it as much as I used to. I mean, I still enjoy connecting with my audience, but there's just something about it that doesn't really connect with me as much as I thought, because I feel myself distancing myself from myself, if that makes any sense. Like, yeah, it's fun to make little cartoons. Yeah, it's fun to write little jokes and everything. But ultimately, I'm kind of in it for like authenticity. And a couple of weeks ago, Lane, one of my friends, comes up to me and he's like, "Oh, dude, you got to go check this Johnny Maza guy out." And I'm like, "Who the hell is Johnny Maza?" And he's like, "No, dude, he totally passes the vibe check." And I'm like, "All right, sure. I mean, why not? I'll give this guy a shot." And in comes this dude who looks like Brian May, making these videos on very fancy like film equipment, I think, and knowing how to kind of give it that hazy look to it and everything that, I don't know, it has that it factor. And I remember looking at his channel for the first time. It had like 700 subscribers, and I'm like, okay, I see some potential. And like I think not even a week later, he got 2,000. And this was like in the beginning of November. And now I'm looking at his channel 2 months later, he has 19,000 subscribers. And I mean, I don't think he's doing it because he wants the subscriber count. I think it's really a reaction to how we're really fed up with YouTube not presenting content about people's story. It's just like a regurgitation of a regurgitation of a regurgitation. And then on top of that, you can't even tell if the person you're listening to is really speaking their mind at all. Because when you write a script, you can say whatever the hell you want, man. You're not put on the spot. You can say that you can speak any political view that you please. You can do your research and, I mean, kind of say things for effect. And I don't know, it kind of like the in-the-moment feel of that is just completely lost. But this Johnny guy has been doing it for, I think, 2 months, and all his channel is just exploding. And I'm really I'm happy to have even been able to talk to the dude. Lane and I had like a little interview about, a month back, and I didn't really think too much of it. I'm like, oh yeah, kind of a chill dude. But now I'm looking at it, I'm like, wow, this guy is doing exactly what I originally started YouTube for, and I felt like I was beginning to lose myself. I even had like this video I was working on recently about like Sam Hyde, and I wanted to kind of discuss about, how it blackpilled me and stuff. And that Sam Hyde is, he's speaking the minds of like the silent majority. And I wanted to kind of put that on display, but then I got really into it, and the audio of it just didn't really feel real. I was speaking too fast. And I'm like, I don't even really agree with what Sam Hyde has to say. It's just like, something that's trendy, something that's in the news. And I wanted to talk about it specifically because, I like to feel like I'm in the moment. But like these days, I don't know, man. I don't think that's what I want to be. And I don't want to just turn out to be one of those YouTubers that ends up selling out, because I know why I originally started doing this, just to tell my story. And if you don't tell your story, then what the hell are you doing? You're just a simulacra of someone else or something that you aren't. And Johnny's whole message is just to be yourself. And that's kind of been my whole thing since I was younger, is to just go out into the world and not really give a hoot about what other people think about me, because there's so much freedom in it. But the irony is, in starting a YouTube channel is, you have all these eyes on you, and you feel like, oh my God, okay, maybe I actually do have to care about what the audience thinks or what the audience wants. No, don't worry about what the audience wants. The audience isn't stupid. They'll respond to good shit, and they'll equally respond properly to bad shit, because they're not dumb. I know that you guys aren't stupid, and that's one of the things that I wouldn't say really gives me anxiety, but I feel like this responsibility to put out something on the internet that isn't just crap that feeds this slop algorithm. And I know that stuff like this is, I guess, a little bit trendy for the moment, but I really want to get back into it, because without the whole authenticity of YouTube, then it's just TV. And I don't even really like watching TV. I don't like watching newscasters, run their mouths about, something happening in Syria or Russia or the Middle East. I mean, we all have so much politics on the internet as is, and people being keyboard warriors fighting with each other. It's just, I'd like to run away from all of that and remember that this life is actually really short, and instead of acting all haughty and smart because you feel like your opinions are superior to somebody else's, just kind of relax and enjoy the ride. We don't even really know why we're here in the first place. And I think about it all the time. Not that I want to talk about religion or, there is a God or there's not a God. That's not really the point of this whole discussion. It's just, I want to find a way to connect with other people. That's essentially it. And there are too many YouTubers now who kind of get really into themselves. Like there's this what if alt-hist guy who, is making videos that were absolutely, like, I wouldn't call them brilliant. I mean, I think that he got a little too into his views at times, but I still appreciated the fact that he was like somewhat well-read and had passion. But then, after you get a certain amount of subscribers, like it kind of gets to your head, and now the dude's saying that he's like talked to God and that he wants to save the world. It's like, dude, come on, man. Like, you really just relax, sit down, have a drink, don't have a drink, and like express what's here in your heart, and don't worry about impressing other people or changing the minds of others. Because another thing that Johnny made me realize is, like, I'm just a fucking guy on the internet. There's no real, like, ulterior motive that I have here. I just have, like, this inner desire to connect with people. And if I don't connect, if I'm not, like, expressing exactly how I feel internally, then I'm like a walking corpse. But, the research and the whole, like, trying to please the audience thing, I'm not about it. It's not necessary. And people aren't stupid who are at least watching videos kind of like in this part of the internet, who are sick of what YouTube has become. They're not stupid. So the other thing is, like, I'm thinking of, like, this year in 2025, every day I'm going to put out at least one video where I go to some obscure place in Japan, or at least, nearby where I live, so that's not too out of the way, and just talk for a period so I can connect with you guys. And I hope that you'll, I guess, join me on this challenge, because if I don't, then I'll just continue to make video essays for the rest of my days. And I don't really think I have it in me to continue like it's not even really pretending, but just like putting all this effort into something every 2 weeks and then getting like 3,000 views of it and be like, well, I wasn't even artistically satisfied in the first place. Like that's not what I want to do. I don't think that's what most real, like true to their heart YouTubers want. So, I mean, I just appreciate that you guys have come to join me on this YouTube journey, and for the people who are on my second YouTube channel, it hasn't even really started growing, and I like feel this kind of freedom in a sense, because like I only have like 110 subscribers right now. The algorithm hasn't even really picked it up, but at the same time, it's a privilege to know that there are people at all who are willing to listen. And like if I can, like some of the coolest people I've met in my entire life have been over the last year, and it's all been on YouTube. From posting these videos and expressing my thoughts, I've met like musicians such as, Adam Borsetti, who's a really kick-ass keyboardist. Another friend of mine, Sam Green, who's like this brilliant producer in the middle of Texas. Another kid I met in North Carolina who is also really deeply into music. And then, my buddy Lane, who lives across town from me. Like I met them all on YouTube. And that's the other thing about YouTube is like it can really be a community. It doesn't have to be just entertainment. We don't need to treat it that way. But we choose to do so because there's so much content that gives us this impression that we need to kind of copy it, be like it. Like you don't need to copy anything at all, man. Just talk. Get your thoughts out there, and the people who really like you will end up coming to you. And I want to personally thank Johnny Maza for helping me realize exactly why I do this, or at least remember why I do this, because I'll never quit. I will never stop putting on the camera. I'll never stop with the diary, because I do actually really enjoy my life. There are aspects of my life that are terrible at times, but it's not necessarily because my life is bad, but just the human experience is kind of a mystery. But that's the fun of all this, because I can talk to you guys and share like the deepest, darkest, fears and worries I have, put them on the internet and realize, hey, you know what? I'm not actually alone in all of this. This is like a real experience that we're in together. But the problem with being on our phones all the time, and with TikTok and Instagram Reels and all this, is like we're in these little like bursts of entertainment, glued individually to this little machine that kind of takes you away from everything else. And I kind of think of YouTube as a tool, or like a means of expression that kind of creates a community of people who come together and eventually do great things. And I have the feeling in 2025, a big thing is going to happen where this exact kind of content is going to bring all sorts of artists in the same place. And we'll finally we won't necessarily get completely away from the Mr. Beastification of YouTube, but rather, like, at least we'll have a community that's big enough where, we know what content that we like. Because right now, I can't find it. I can't find the content that I want to listen to. I click off everything these days. But Johnny Maza made me realize, you know what? This is what YouTube's about. And I know that there's the video of people talking in their cars. I think that the cool thing about going out into public and not being too nervous is you get to kind of see like a real environment on top of that, where, I don't really like being reminded too much of the digital age. I like natural things. So the inside of a car, like, while it's real and all that, there's like a nice rustic, natural feeling that I get from sitting on this like old concrete staircase that was probably built like 100 years ago. So I wanted to extend my thanks to all of you guys who have stuck around with me today, because this is a really, really important video for me to make. And I think that moving forward, I'm going to just make videos that I want to make on this channel. And I'll still maintain the other one. I'll still make video essays because, they're fun to make when I want to make them. But this channel right here, this is 100% unfiltered me. And I want it to be that. And I just feel so much power knowing that I can do this now and just express myself. So thank you so much, guys.